So, welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily MCQ Practice. In this lecture series, we cover a particular day's current affairs through a set of 4 to 5 MCQs. The idea is very simple. We want you to revise your current affairs, and what better way to revise your current affairs than by getting the much needed MCQ practice? Because these MCQs covered on a daily basis would add up. If you're consistent with it though, these would add up to more than 1200 MCQs. Now, 1200 MCQs from the topic of current affairs alone are more than sufficient for your prelims examination. Okay, you wouldn't have to worry about your current affairs portion as far as your prelims exam is concerned, provided you were consistent, regular with this lecture series. Okay, so do that. And we shall begin today's session with question number 1. Consider the following statements regarding Kyoto Protocol. It is an international agreement under United Nations UNFCCC that sets binding emission reduction targets on 37 industrialized nations and European Community. It was replaced by Paris Agreement 2015 and now stands defunct as per international law. All 193 members of UN had initially ratified this agreement. Alright, so Kyoto Protocol was an international agreement adopted in 1997 and it came into force in 2005. Okay. Now, this Kyoto Protocol, the thing about Kyoto Protocol is that it was a very special agreement because under this protocol, binding targets, binding emission reduction targets were given to 37 industrialized nations and European Community. Basically, what do we mean by binding emission reduction targets? That they have to reduce their carbon emissions by this much. So a target was given to them and they had to follow it. Okay. Only industrialized nations and European Community. Clear? So this part is correct. Now it was replaced by Paris Agreement 2015 and now stands defunct. Well, the answer is a little bit complicated. So you know this by now because I've told this to you that this came into force in 2005. Now this agreement had two implementation or commitment periods. Okay, the first one was from 2008 to 2012. And the second period was 2012 to 2020, right? These were the two commitment periods. Clear? After that, post 2020, no third commitment period was renewed. Nothing was done about it. And because in 2015, Paris Agreement was signed, people thought that Kyoto Protocol is now defunct. Okay, there is no need for Kyoto Protocol and now Paris Agreement will be the agreement that would be followed by all countries. Okay. Now this was the case because there was no third commitment period. But recently, International Court of Justice has clarified under international law that Kyoto Protocol is still in force and these binding emission reduction targets are still binding on these countries. Okay. So second statement is false because recent clarification was given by ICJ, International Court of Justice. Now this Kyoto Protocol was signed by all 193 members of UN. But it was not ratified by all. It was just ratified by 192 countries. USA did not ratify it. Okay, so only 192 countries ratified it. So this is also false. Only one statement is correct. The answer is A. Question 2. Which of the following are correct regarding green technologies currently in use? Most solar panels use silicon photovoltaics which have high energy efficiency close to 80%. The biggest disadvantage of green hydrogen is that its production consumes more energy than it returns. India relies on China for over 80% of its solar panel components. Okay. So green technologies, renewable energy technologies basically, right? Now solar energy is one such green technology and we use solar panels to produce electricity. Now these solar panels use silicon photovoltaic cells. Okay. Now the biggest disadvantage of silicon photovoltaic cell is that its energy efficiency is pretty low. It's between 15 to 18%. Okay. So solar energy, sun's rays, okay, falls on this solar panel, silicon photovoltaics, and this is converted into electricity. But because it has low efficiency, only 15 to 18% of the sun's rays of the solar energy that falls on these solar panels is converted into electricity. Rest 80%, more than 80% gets wasted. Okay, so only 15 to 18% of solar energy, solar rays, solar radiation is converted into electricity. Okay, not 80%. This is one of its disadvantage. So this is false. Now, green hydrogen is another alternative to fossil fuels. Okay, because there is no greenhouse gases that are emitted by burning hydrogen to produce energy. Now, green hydrogen is that hydrogen that is produced by, well, separating water molecule. So when you separate water, hydrogen is produced and oxygen is produced. And this hydrogen that is produced is called green hydrogen, which can be used as a fuel to produce energy, right? Now, the process through which water molecule is split between hydrogen and oxygen is called electrolysis, right? It's called electrolysis. Now, the problem with electrolysis is that it consumes a lot of energy. So, production of green hydrogen consumes more energy than it returns, and that is why this is not a sustainable way to produce hydrogen. We need innovation in that. So, second statement is correct. And third statement is also correct. India relies on China for 80% of its solar panel components. This is one big vulnerability that India has as far as green energy is concerned. So yes, 2 and 3 are correct. The answer is D. Question 3. Consider the following regarding PM National Dialysis Program. Launched in 2016, it is implemented by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare using public-private partnership model. It provides free dialysis services to economically weaker patients suffering from end-stage pulmonary failure. PMNDP portal is integrated with Aadhaar ID for seamless insurance scheme integration. Okay. So this PM National Dialysis Program was launched in 2016, launched by Ministry of Health under public-private partnership model. Under this, free dialysis services would be provided to economically weaker patients. Now, dialysis is needed by people who are suffering from renal diseases, not pulmonary. Pulmonary means lungs, renal means kidneys, right? So, the entire statement would have been correct. First statement is absolutely correct. Second statement would have also been correct if instead of pulmonary, it was written renal. But that's not the case, so second statement is false. And yes, there is an online portal where you can book your dialysis slot, okay, in any of the hospitals nearby. Okay, so government has launched this portal and you can log into this portal and integrate yourself with your Aadhaar ID. Aadhaar stands for Ayushman Bharat Health Account. Okay, so you will have Ayushman Bharat account. So Ayushman Bharat Health Account is a 14-digit ID. When you integrate this ID with this portal, well, all your medical history and insurance schemes, they also get integrated with this. So when you book a dialysis slot through PMNDP portal, that is covered under your insurance scheme, which is Ayushman Bharat scheme, right? So third statement is also correct. 1 and 3 only. The answer is C. And last, again, Kyoto Protocol. So while Kyoto Protocol is based on bottom-up voluntary approach, Paris Agreement is based on top-down binding targets-based approach. Kyoto Protocol only had 2 commitment periods, 8 to 12, 12 to 20. Kyoto Protocol is based on the principle of common but differentiated responsibility. Clean development mechanism and emission trading mechanism were part of Kyoto Protocol. Okay. So look, first statement is absolutely false because we have discussed this. Kyoto Protocol gave legally binding emission reduction targets to developed countries, right? Whereas in Paris Agreement, well, countries themselves gave their targets. Okay, so it was more of a voluntary approach. Kyoto was legally binding target-based approach. So first statement is false because opposite explanation is given. Clear? Now, second statement is correct. We have discussed this in question number 1. Now, common but differentiated responsibility principle means that the responsibility of fighting against climate change is more with developed nations as compared to developing countries. Developing countries are less responsible than developed. Now, Kyoto Protocol is based on this principle because these emission reduction targets, legally binding targets, are for 37 industrialized countries, developed countries. and European Community, which is also developed. So this is also correct. Now, this Kyoto Protocol was definitely legally binding, but the approach can be flexible. You can reduce carbon emissions flexibly. Okay, and how so? Clean development mechanism was a mechanism under which, if a developed country is unable to reduce carbon emissions, it can help a developing country reduce carbon emissions and its targets would be considered met. This was clean development mechanism. Emission trading mechanism was, what if one country reduces its carbon emissions, okay, then this country would get a carbon credit. Suppose another country, okay, country B, this exceeds its target. So if it is exceeding its target, it has to give money and buy this carbon credit from it. This was emission trading mechanism. All of this was part of Kyoto Protocol. Okay. So fourth statement is also correct. 2, 3, 4 are correct. The answer is B. And with that, we conclude today's session. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. And I'm sure it has added value to your preparation, but it would add more value if you revise this lecture as well. And by revision, I mean taking a good look at written detailed solutions to each and every MCQ we just discussed. Now, these solutions are available in our notes, and these notes are available on our Telegram channel. The link to our Telegram channel is provided in the comment section just below this video. On that note, I'll be signing off with the promise of seeing you again with another set of MCQs. Thank you, everyone.